Okay, World Wars 210 and 211, fighting for France. Despite their huge numbers, it took the Allies over 6 weeks to break out from their Normandy beachhead. So this is when they landed in Normandy, remember, on D-Day. But when they did, the German army that had fought so fiercely to hold back the invaders crumbled before them. Ahead lay the French capital, Paris. The fighting in Normandy had been tough. High hedges and narrow roads made defending easy for the Germans. Thousands of dead cows killed in artillery and aerial bombardment lay all around, adding to the chaos and stench of the death. But by July 24th, U.S. troops under General Omar Bradley broke out south of Saint-Lô. By August, the Germans were in full retreat, and a further Allied invasion from the Mediterranean added to their problems. Allied troops finally met up in central France in mid-September. Paris must be destroyed. Major General Dietrich von Choltitz had been given the unenviable task of defending Paris. In early August, Hitler had summoned him and ordered that if the German army had to abandon the city, it must be utterly destroyed. Nothing must be left standing, no church, no artistic monument. With this in mind, German engineers placed demolition charges in major buildings and prepared to destroy Paris. And these are people that they were celebrating the liberation of Paris when they were fired on by German snipers. Here's a French resistance fighter identified by his armband who's joining the Allied troops in street fighting on the way to Paris. Von Choltitz was a loyal, even ruthless general who had served the Nazis well, but he found his orders too much to stomach. By a window high up in his Parisian headquarters, he spent a wistful evening staring out at this beautiful city. Below, a woman in a bright red dress cycled by. "I like these pretty Parisians," he told an aide. "It would be a tragedy to have to kill them and destroy their city." As the Allies drew closer to Paris, Eisenhower decided to bypass it. He did not want his troops to have to fight in the city and ruin its historic buildings. Inside the capital, events were acquiring their own momentum. The police went on strike, and French resistance groups rose up to confront their German occupiers. Barricades were set up in the streets, and sporadic fighting broke out. Fearing a bloodbath, Eisenhower changed his mind, and U.S. and Free French forces headed for the city. Meanwhile, von Choltitz, at great risk to his own life, sent out a message to the approaching troops telling them he was willing to surrender. Oh, wow. So he went against what Hitler was doing, right? On August 25, 1944, Allied troops poured into the city. Some were greeted by cheering Parisians who showered them with flowers and kisses. Others met sporadic but determined German resistance. Von Choltitz officially surrendered at 2:30 p.m., but as the streets filled with cheering crowds, German snipers fired on them from the rooftops. It would be another 24 hours before they were flushed out from their hiding places. The Allies continued their advance into the early autumn. The Belgian cities of Brussels and Antwerp fell on September 3, and the first American patrols crossed into Germany on September 11. But then the Allies came up against 3 significant obstacles: 2 great rivers, the Meuse and the Rhine, and a formidable line, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right, I've never heard that river's name, Meuse, and a formidable line of concrete bunkers and anti-tank barriers known as West Wall. It was a good place to stop. After such a rapid advance, forward units were running short of supplies. For the moment, the war in the West came to a halt. And here are German officers surrendering.